Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Coga. First and foremost, I would like to welcome you and thank you so much for being here today. Now, before we get started, I want to do a quick sound and audio check. So if you can hear my voice and see the mouse move right on the screen here, let me know by typing in yes, Jeff, as well as where you're currently standing right now, so I can make sure that this stuff is all working here. So please type in the actual chat box. At least type something in there. Good friend Dustin said yes from sunny San Diego. Welcome. Julie in the house is saying yes. She can hear me. That's great. And here it is. There's a little bit delay here. So there it is. Kelly, Sam, Sean, Patrick, John. Okay, so sounds like you guys and gals can hear me. Perfect. So today's training, I decided to talk about something called leverage. All right, and this is a training I did, I want to say, about the same time last year. All right, now why am I talking about leverage? Okay, is because business is all about leverage, right? Business is 100% all about leverage. Pretty much, it leverages your skill sets. It leverages other people. It leverages essentially your money, time freedom, right? So it's all about leverage. So I'm going to talk about the power of leverage, the 3 common forms of leverage, and how it applies to the direct bypass communication marketing and email marketing and, in general, real estate and, matter of fact, any other business in terms of how leverage works, okay? So throughout this training, if you have any questions, please type in the chat box your exact question, as well as, be detailed as possible. Okay, don't paraphrase it. Type in your whole question, press enter, and then I will go ahead and gladly unmute you so we can go ahead and get into a dialogue, get into a discussion about how this topic of leverage applies to your business. All right, because rest assured you, your business, regardless of where it's at, there is underutilized leverage points that you're not pulling that lever on. And that's what we're going to talk about, okay? So it's absolutely necessary, and it is absolutely necessary to use leverage if you want to grow your business and become wealthy. All right? Now, wealthy in the sense of what? Monetary, right? Of course, kind of like Jeff, right? Why do people get into business? Is obviously to make money. Okay, because when you have the make money, then guess what? It gives you the time freedom, not only time freedom, but it also allows you to give back. Meaning that once you have some money, income stream coming in, it allows you to do the things that you want to do, which is, hey, maybe you give to an organization, a nonprofit. Maybe you donate to your local church and donates to, certain programs out there, right? And it allows you to do that. But all of that requires money, and you need to have some type of leverage. Now, in fact, you need to use a massive amount of leverage. The more leverage you use, the more leverage you need to use. So before you think that I've lost the plot and only recommending that you borrow money until you drown under the weight of debt, let me explain myself clearly. All right? This is not 2008, 2009, and the reason why we had the last so-called real estate recession where people were so overwhelmed in debt and used the wrong type of leverage, okay? And the common misconception is that leverage refers only to borrowing money, also known as debt or even gearing. Leverage is so much more than just borrowed money. In fact, there are 3 forms of common leverage, and the 4 at least talked about leverage. And this is for another training, and we'll talk about it on the different slide after this, okay? But let's talk about the 3 forms of the most common leverage. Now, who knows what other leverage is out there outside of just, hey, borrowing money? Anyone? All right, we got Dustin saying time. Yep. What else? All right. Keep on typing it in. Ooh, there's a delay. Boom, floodgates are coming in. Okay, good. People are using the old school acronym. If you guys heard me use it before, that's good. All right, so let's talk about this. What is leverage? So leverage is the ability to control a lot with just a little. It gives you the ability to utilize more than just you. Through leverage, you can affect change much more rapidly, and leverage equals speed, or in my case, my favorite term you hear me use a lot is velocity. The more leverage you have, the faster your journey to growth and wealth really begins. All right? And sometimes this may have happened to you. I know it has happened to me, where you use some of the 3 most common leverage, and because of that, you might have a negative experience because of something that happened in your business, something that happened in the past, something that maybe happened in your personal life. And because of that, we have this negative feeling towards those leverage, and we're like, let's not use it. We get calloused. We get really, really calloused. I know I did. So let's talk about the 3 most common ones, because if you're like, what is it, okay? And I know for the folks that have typed it in already, I want to congratulate you, okay? So the 3 most common leverage is this: OPM, OPT, OPW. All right? So the first one is other people's money, right? So if it's not your money, then it can be other people's money. Okay, this is the most common one, right? We talk about debt, right? We talk about bad debt, good debt, okay? The second one is OPT, other people's time. Right? So if we hire out certain tasks, we bring on, business partners or team members on board, we get literally like, hey, a coach, consultant, right? Literally saves you time. Right? Third one, other people's work. Now you might be like, other people's work, OPW, okay? It's very close to, I think Dustin said, knowledge, right? For the folks who know me very well, you guys know that I am literally a bookworm. I like to read. I like to study. I like to learn a lot more than other people, especially from people outside of the core industry that I'm part of. Right? Many of my ideas, many of my strategies, many of my tactical stuff, even for lead generation building businesses, it came outside from the space. So some things I do in real estate, it came from outside of real estate. Right, things I do in the internet land with my publishing company and my e-commerce business I run as well, and even my private lending business that I do, right? It comes from outside of those industries. And it all has to do with other people's work. And that's what I challenge many, many of you guys and gals is, yes, it's great to learn from people within the industry, but true innovation and then true ability to stick out from the rest of the crowd so you do not sound like a echo comes from outside of your industry. It just does. Otherwise, then you're always competing on what? Who can pound their chest the hardest and yell the loudest to get more attention and get more noise. Right? Not to say that doesn't work, okay? I do that, right? Yes, I get ideas from outside a different industry, but hey, I market hard for my businesses, the different businesses, to making sure that I can get attention, right? Okay, so let's go and get into each one. OPM, or gearing, is a simple use of debt, and it's what you put in the liability section of your balance sheet. Okay, why use gearing or why use debt? If you're undercapitalized, like in real estate, you'll need to float, quote unquote, your marketing costs for a minimum average of, you hear me say a lot? The DOM, right? Days on market, unless you know a non-traditional disposition strategy. Right? This is huge. Right? You got to understand this in this business. This is one of the number one issues with real estate, running a real estate business, is that it's not like a product or service business, like my e-commerce business that I sell like dog products in, right? I sell like on Amazon and through like Facebook, right? Like that is a very simple business where, hey, a dog owner buys a dog product and I make profit, boom, instantly at that moment in time. Okay? Versus like real estate, for me to invest in marketing and for me to generate a lead, okay, we get into contract, like we have a seller sign a contract, like a listing, or even a contract for like, hey, to wholesale or even a property to buy, right, to rehab and fix and flip, right? You get into contract. You don't get paid instantly unless you like structure it in a way, okay, especially on the investor side. If you're on the traditional side where you get a listing, your business there's a constraint based on the days on market. Days on market. Meaning that once you get a listing, you got to market it, get a buyer, not only get a buyer, but you got to negotiate with the buyer, and then get the contract accepted by the buyer. And once it's accepted, you open up escrow or you go to attorney review, right? And then once that's done, they do their inspection. Hey, remove contingencies. Once contingencies are removed, cool. Hey, if they're getting a loan, they're going to have to do an appraisal, right, and all kinds of stuff, and then fund, and then record, and then you get paid. And that, bottom line, is always that constraint is this. And this is some of the issues I have in the space of real estate where people don't talk about this, right? People are oblivious to this. So when they come to me and then people will say, hey, Jeff, does this thing, hey, am I able to get results in like 30 days? And I'll tell people all the time, flat out, if you have a traditional, okay, I say traditional right here, a traditional disposition strategy, meaning that you're listing properties and things like that, all right? And if you're traditionally, meaning you're working with retail buyers versus an investor or developer, right? You're always constrained to the average days on market. Versus if you're working with a developer or an investor directly, with all means, they can close very, very fast, right? Like I've closed in like the fastest I think I've closed is like five business days. Right? I might have done 4, I think. Yeah. So which means, hey, you get in a contract, boom, you get paid instantly. Right? We did one, what is it, like last month? Yeah, we did one, yeah. In Hancock Park, lady, it's an off-market deal that we did over a million, 1.08, all right, and sold it to an investor. All right. Now, I think we screwed up royally on this one because once they bought it, literally closed on it, they popped it back on the MLS without doing anything to it at 1.4. All right, $1.4 million. Yeah, I'm kind of ticked off. We'll see if it closes above that. Now, if it does, then I'm going to be really upset that it slipped right through my hands, that deal. I'll be very upset if it closed on that. Yeah, so again, that one from initial contact to close, it was like less than 14 days or something like that, right? But it's a non-traditional. Is that making sense? Please let me know if that's making sense or not. Because I know we have friends from like different parts of the country, so I want to make sure that you're 100% aware of this because this is some of the constraints. And then when it comes to OPM in your business, you're going to have to use some of this. Right? You hear me sometimes talk about using like the 0% on your credit card, especially if you're in the growth phase of your business, right? Take out a 0%. Right? It's going to give you a whole year to pay for it. So at least if you take out, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 from your credit card at a 0%, yes, it's going to cost you maybe 3%, maybe 4%. All right? There might be a max depending on what kind of card you have. But if you get that, then guess what? At least you can invest it in direct marketing, right? Like getting business, and then you can stretch your marketing dollars. All right? Versus if you're paying it out of your pocket as straight cash, you're going to have to float it. I'm sorry, not float it, but you're going to go through a cash constraint versus floating it. Is that making sense? Please let me know. Sometimes, for the folks who've been in business for a long time, that concept of using balance transfer, using it as 0%, it's like, yeah, I got it. But if you're just starting off sometimes, or if you have never thought in that way, it's one of those like, oh my gosh. And if you get it, or let me know, a better question is, have you used that strategy before? That might be a better, type in yes if you have. Kelly said, can you explain a little bit more? Okay, yeah, so for example, right, so let me explain what like 0%, right? So if you have a credit card, right, there's typically going to be something like a 0%, you get some type of like offer that says, hey, like 0%, get it at, special rate, right? So 0%. So if your credit card, let's just use 10,000, right? For the sheer sake of, so this is supposed to be $sign and it's 10K. Right? Now, to borrow this money from a card, you're going to have something like a 3% or anywhere from 3% to 4% cost on this, okay? 3 to 4% cost. Sorry for my handwriting. It looks like Chicken Little, okay? So what does that mean? How much is it going to actually physically cost you? Anyone? If you're quick on math, you should be able to figure this out, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, it's one of the most underutilized. Sean says it's one of the most underutilized. Yes, and you can do this even with like investing, right? So, for example, let's just use it for the sake of this math, right? 3%. We're going to use this 3%. So, it'll cost you $300, right, to borrow 10K, right? And then you have a whole 12 months to pay it back. So your monthly payment you're going to have to make is going to come out to like $200 or something like that, right? $200 or something like that. But at least you can take this to 10,000 and then use it for what? Lead generation, right? Now, a lot of times when people do this stuff, right, they use it for other stuff beyond just actually getting leads. And if you do that, you're going to put yourself in a world of hurt, right? So I tell people, if you get this, hey, use it on strictly lead generation, right? I think, Frank, if you remember, 4 years ago, we were talking about this, right? Especially when we're doing heavily, and Frank, go get a mic if you can or not. We're doing a lot of Facebook lead generation, and what I told you was this, right? Because it took, with Frank, after looking at the numbers, it took him about from initial contact to physically getting into contract and closing, it took 6 months, right? 6 months from leads through Facebook at that time. Right? Because we were tweaking stuff, we were working on stuff, right? But the cost per lead was really cheap. So that means that he had to, instead of going through a boom and famine, right? Because he'll go like this if he stops marketing. So he had to sustain it from 1 through 6 months, right? Has to sustain it, and that's what we use. Remember that, Frank? And then each month we're dropping 1K, 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 and you're 6 months in, and then suddenly, boom, it popped, and everything started stacking, and then literally his business went kind of like hockey stick like that. Right? It's the same concept, okay? That you're going to have to do. And again, if you have any questions, please type in the questions in your chat box. All right? And Frank, see if you can get a mic. Now, the next thing is OPT. There are numerous companies, okay, small businesses and individuals that will sell you their time. Right? These ranges from laborers to professional specialized in particular fields. Right? Like I have an accountant, I have lawyers, right? Insurance brokers, mortgage agents, CFPs. I have people that are in what they call PPC specialists, SEOs, and so on. I use all these people. They save me time and money. All right? And it saves me money because they free up my time to make more money, and their knowledge helps me. All right? So my recommendation is I tell people all the time, is to create a board of advisors. Create a board of advisors. Write this down. Right? Outside of people who have a direct interest in your monetary gain. Here's what I mean. You get a servicer, someone that's so-called a social media manager, let's just say. Right? You get a social media manager you hire. You pay them money every single month, regardless of that dollar amount that you pay them. Right? You might be like, they're an advisor for me, for my business. Now, there's an issue with that. There's something called a cognitive bias, right? We all have it. And it's a bias that we have because the world that we look at through our lens, our own experience. And there's something called a professional bias, where if your income is directly tied to the outcome of the scenario, it is really, really difficult for an individual to give you an opinion of something or even advice without skewing someone in one direction. You can believe it or not, but it happens. You know, this happens in real estate all day long. Happens in the professional services game all day long. Happens even in the medical field. Right? Where your doctor is going to say, hey, one thing and say, go do that instead. So have a board of advisors outside of people who have a direct monetary gain from your decision that you make. I have tons of these people. Right? So if I run into an issue, a marketing campaign, I pick up the phone and I call them. I'm humble enough to call them, and we're good friends, and I say, hey, what's your thoughts on that? If I spend $1. And they'll be like, Jeff, I think you should invest it somewhere else. Or they'll be like, sounds like a good deal. Are you going to do it? And I'll be like, yeah, probably. And I do it. All right? So it's the same thing with you. And this is where this program really comes into effect, is that the people who get the most out of this is they use me as a sounding board. And I'm upfront with them, is because I'm a sales and marketing guy. I tell people all the time, my bias is what? Is that a lot of my recommendation is going to be strictly based on what? Sales and marketing. Right? I'm aware of that. And you should be aware of that too. So when you are leveraging other people's time, you need to make sure that at least you know that they have that. Everyone else has that. Okay? Let me know if there's some experience from your side in real world or what has happened in the past where you're kind of like, oh my gosh, you know what? That is so true. Let me know. Yeah, type it in. Kelly said, I do. Well, if you can give me some more context on exactly what it is, right? Have this, okay? I cannot stress you enough. And no one individual, all right? And I cannot stress, no one individual, in my opinion, will be an expert in all things, right? It's really, really difficult. It's really, really difficult. You're going to have people that are strong in certain parts, right? Like my CFP, right, is a CPA as well, right? For tax stuff, we go to him. Right? My PPC guy doesn't know anything about SEO, right? PPC stands for pay-per-click advertisement. My SEO person doesn't really know about PPC, not like in details, okay? They have a general knowledge of it, okay? So let's go to the next thing. So OPW, all right, is similar to OPT, but now you employ people to leverage their time and their unique abilities. This is huge, unique abilities. Just like OPT, you have a board advisor, you need a unique ability team that can get stuff done for you. Right? A unique ability team. UAT. Now, this term, unique ability team, I can't take credit for it. I've learned this from a coach of mine named Dan Sullivan years ago, and I highly recommend it if you're interested in that type of stuff, right? In terms of strategic, I would say, hey, go check out their coaching. All right, helped me a lot, and has helped tons and tons of people. He's considered to be like the coaches of all coaches for most people that you may have never heard of. Oh, I'm sorry, the people you've heard of online. All right? And it's called Strategic Coach, Dan Sullivan. He was the first one openly and publicly to talk about kind of like the 10X. All right? And he talks about a unique ability team, where you create a unique ability team and put people on your team, but place them in the right place. So that way they can flourish and you can only do the stuff that you truly enjoy and actually good at, right? And this is a skill set that you must learn and develop. And we'll talk about this at a later module and later training. Because I believe that this is some of the missing link to why individuals do not grow their business to where they're capable of. Or they're not getting the return or the results that they like. Is because they do not have a unique ability team, right? I run into challenges of this in my own business all the time, where I'm constantly, right? Because I'm looking at this as a business as a bus, and I got this from Jim Collins' Good to Great, where he says, hey, look at business as a bus, because it's going to take you from one place to a different location, right? And you're on this journey, and as you're on this journey and you're on this, bus, we can call it a school bus if we want, right? We're on there, it's like, yeah, we're gonna hit road bumps, like tuk, 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 right? And it makes you pop, right? And you're the driver. You're the captain of that, bus. And we have team members that work with us, vendors, right? People we turn to. And they're sitting down on different parts of the bus. And we're going in that journey. Now, the issue sometimes is, number one, some of the people on the bus, this is how you have to be really brutally honest, they shouldn't even be on the bus. All right? Now, if you got people like that in your organization, I highly recommend maybe it's time to terminate them, all right? But if it's not, then you might simply have them sitting down in the wrong place of the bus, right? You have them doing tasks that maybe they're not great at, and because of that, it's hurting your growth, stunning your growth. Or vice versa, you're sitting in the wrong place of the bus. Right? Maybe you should be actually sitting on the passenger side of the bus versus the actual driver. Right? Ooh, that's a brutal one, right? Where you have to actually look and be like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't drive it. Right? Or instead, maybe should you be more of a kind of like that tour guide type, right? Where you're actually on the bus, but then you're on there and then telling people what's going on as someone else is driving, someone else is navigating. right? Different things. So again, it's a skill set. The book is Unique Ability Team. Highly recommend it. If you don't know your unique ability, I'm going to type in the actual email. So shoot an email to me. I'll get you the actual book, all right? So if you want, shoot an email and say, hey, give me the Unique Ability book, and I'll give you the copy of that. I should have had that probably right on the screen, the link, but unfortunately I didn't have that, okay? So get that, and I'll give it to you. Okay, shoot me an email. I'll give you the free book. Go through it. Okay, so earlier I said, remember, OPM, OPT, OPW is absolutely necessary. Right? I said this. Right? Because that's going to take you to execute goals. Right? Having your marketing pay for income outside of transactional real estate. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot stress this enough. Is that as your business starts going, you want to look at income streams that you can make from the direct thing that you're already doing. And growing your business by 500% or more. Ben, no problem. Good luck. Hope everything is okay with your wife. So, and let me talk about this quick story, all right? So I have a young guy currently right now, and he's doing really well, okay? He's on track to probably finish this year, maybe anywhere in the range of like 21 million. Maybe he can hit at this run rate, maybe he might hit like around 24, maybe 25 million, all right, in terms of traditional real estate sales. Traditional real estate sales. That's not bad, all right? That's not bad. If you can do the math, right? On, hey, even a blended commission of what? 2%, you're going to be doing over 600 grand, right? But in his case, he's like he's more closer to 2.5, right? So GCI wise, you can do a calculation and figure out, right? Now, he is doing all of this without hardly any social media, or even a website, okay? The guy uses just the Zillow. That's it. Does not have a IDX website, some special lead capture website, or anything like that. Doesn't have it. And then keep in mind, he is locally here in Southern California. Supposedly in one of the most competitive real estate market, maybe outside of like San Francisco or Manhattan or something like that, right? Or Long Island, right? So in New York. So, but he's doing that. Now, how is that possible? A lot of it has to do with leverage. A lot of it has to do with unique ability. And he's pig-headed stubborn. Right? He just doesn't take no for an answer. All right? And we'll talk about some other things right now that I want to show you right now because we're about the 30-minute mark, okay? And which is this. Hold on, let me pull this up right now. So any questions so far on this? Again, this moment in time, to get the most out of this is that you should ask questions. Right? You should ask questions. Great stuff. All right, cool. Thank you. Yeah, and we had some, I think, a couple people that hopped in late, and some of you guys and gals haven't said anything. I think we see Ben there. Tom, I think, hasn't said anything as well. I think Julie may have been a little bit quiet here today, but I think she's on. Okay, good. Sean as well. Patrick. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the next part, the power of leverage, all right, which is the 4 least talked about leverage, right? The least talked about, because the last 3, right, it's pretty common knowledge. If you've been around business for a while, right, you've been doing it, you've heard of it, all right? Now, you might not be doing it, but you've heard of it, hopefully. But let's talk about these things, all right, these 4 least talked about leverage, especially in our business. And you're about to find out why they do not talk about this. Because it boils down to, remember, that cognitive bias that I talked about. Especially if you're just, and I'm using it very loosely, as a licensed individual, you're not a broker yourself. And you're just doing traditional real estate. Right? Like you're not doing the investing side. You're not holding on to property. You don't have cash flow properties. Okay? And it's important. If you're in the real estate, especially like you're doing loans, I think, Sean, I believe you do loans, right? Your mortgage, I hope you're holding on to properties. Same thing with anyone that's doing, right? Hold on to properties, right? So 4 at least talked about leverage. So the 3 most common leverage is what? OPM, other people's money, other people's time, all right? Other people's work that we talked about. Now, let's talk about the 4 at least talked about. So here it is. OPE, other people's experience. That kind of ties into other people's time, right? But we have OPE, other people's experience. OPI, other people's ideas. I think this is where Dustin kind of threw in where he says like knowledge, okay? All right? But other people's ideas. Remember I said I tend to look outside of my current industry to get ideas from other people, especially like marketing campaigns. Right? It's a lot easier to knock off a marketing campaign from people outside of real estate and then change a few things around, and then, boom, it becomes a unique voice in real estate. Versus what 80 to 90% of individuals do in the space of real estate is that they see a colleague doing it or someone that they think that's doing really well, and they'll knock them off, and they make a slight change, and you're just literally an echo. So it's kind of like today, I am, right? You're an echo. Versus being a unique voice. All right? Now the third one is scalable production and distribution. Ooh, that one's an interesting one. Scalable production and distribution. People do not talk about this, and you're about to find out why. And then the fourth one, if you are doing traditional real estate of listing houses and working with buyers as a licensed individuals, then the issue is going to be a scalable customer base or scalable client base. And there's another constraint there, outside of the average days on market, right? You've heard me talk about the DOM constraint, the days on market constraint that we have in real estate. So the fourth one, scalable customer base, is huge. So let's talk about this. OPE. One of the best resources of leverage available to you is the experiences of others, and it's an enormous waste of your time and totally unnecessary to try and learn everything you need to know by trial and error. You can learn from the experiences, knowledge, and mistakes of others. Kind of like, ding, 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 Jeff, I know, that's why I'm on here, right? So I'm telling you this is because I want you to look at your business, look at what you got going on, and say, hey, are you using these things in your business? And then once you say, and you're brutally honest and say, hey, Jeff, I'm not, then your next follow-up question should be, hey, what are some levers that I should pull so that way I can get immediate results? And if you have that kind of questions, let me know, and let's have a conversation. Let's have a dialogue. It's a lot easier to do that. And remember, that thing is not a one-size-fits-all. If it is a one-size-fits-all, then trust me, everyone will have a booming business. And that's one of the reason why the Small Business Association, I don't know what the actual stat is now, but I remember looking at from Small Business Association, SBA, and the old cliche saying is close to almost like 90% of home businesses go out of business in the first 3 years, and then once you get past the first 3 years, those people that are left, right, that 10 to 20% or whatever, 50% of them will go out of business by the 5th year. Right? So the odds are stacked against you. It is absolutely stacked against you. So doing what everyone else is doing and then hoping that your business is going to succeed or you're going to have a booming business, it's just not going to happen. It's just absolutely not. And the brutal truth is this is I had a conversation with a client, potential client that was going on, and I had to ask this question because they said that, hey, I'm in the real estate business for over 20 years. Right? And it says I'm not getting consistent income and my business is actually going down. And then I said, and this is like, hey, I don't have any money to market. Right? That's what they said. And then my instant answer, I says, look, there's something outside and beyond what I can help you. There's some type of limited belief or psychological, a clog that you have going on, where if you've been in business on 2 cycles already, 2 upswing cycles, all right, and your business is shrinking or you haven't done, there's something there. I don't know what that is. I might have an idea, but that is something that's holding it back, and you have to be brutally honest, right? We as human beings, we're so good at lying to ourselves. I do it all the time. I'm not standing here as I'm saying this, act like I'm in a ivory tower and be like, oh yeah, hey, Jeff is no, heck no. I run through challenges all the time, and if you guys have been following me on social, you know this. I rant all the time, and I talk about it. I'm brutally honest. I'd be like, man, like I made the dumbest mistake ever, right? I just talked about earlier on the dumb mistake of a real estate transaction, right, is that we ended up doing a listing site and made 1% of what? The $1 million, right? Versus like, hey, once it's sold, they listed it for $1.4 million. That's a dumb business mistake if it closes at that price. That's over like $300,000 of money because, and you know why that happened is because that day I was busy. I was busy doing something else, and I don't even remember what I was busy about when I was supposed to run the numbers and see if it will work out, right? And I just had this belief, and I was like, that area is like kind of oversaturated because of the moratorium that's going on. I don't think developers are going to buy it, or I'm not going to be able to squeeze out the money that I would have if it was like 2 years ago. Right? Just dumb stuff, right? And it cost me. Right now, did I make some? Yes, I did, but that's a difference of a couple grand to a couple $100,000. Right? So you have to be brutally honest, right? And I get upset about this kind of stuff, okay? And you should too, I think, Now, obviously, don't dwell on it, but learn from it, okay? So OPE, OPI. This is generally refers to learning and copying good marketing or income ideas, right? So franchise and networking business are a testament to the power of OPI. Learn a proven method and replicate it yourself. Right now, the system of lead generation is the same today as it was yesterday, last week, last month, last year, last generation. I'll say it again. The system of lead generation is the same today as it was yesterday, last week, last month, last year, last generation. Yes, the technology changes, and maybe the system becomes a little refined and improved. But the fundamentals do not change. The process is tried, tested, and works every time without fail. You just have to learn it and diligently apply it. No trial and error, no wasting your precious time, just OPI. So what does this all mean? Is that it's all about behavior. Let's be honest here, right? Because people will be like, hey, I need to learn about marketing. I need to learn about sales. But at the end of the day, it's about understanding human behavior on why people do the things that they do. And so that's why a lot of time I tell individuals when they want to learn about sales and marketing, I say, hey, you got to first look deep inside of you first, right? Like working on yourself more than working on the actual business. And when you can work on yourself more than the actual business, this is when you start realizing that, one, you don't have a lead generation problem or a sales and marketing problem. You may have issues like, remember the tactical stuff, right? You hear me about like data appending, right? Age data secrets, okay? Those are what? A fundamental shift you have to make in your mind to be like, oh yeah, that problem does not exist. Because if you constantly believe that it is because of lead generation, and this is the reason why your business is not going in the way it is, then that is not the issue. The issue is that you have a fundamental belief system that is against you. You're not understanding human behavior. That the lead generation is same today as it was yesterday, last week, last month, last year, and last generation. Yeah, you got little cool little widgets, right? Like we got like stuff like this where, hey, you know what? 10 years ago, we weren't able to do this, like a webinar, right? I used to go on teleconference calls. You weren't able to see slides. There'll be teleconference calls. I'll be on teleconference calls with my coach, and they'll be on there, and they'll be talking. It wasn't like this. Right? Even in the early 2000s, a lot of my lead generation I was telling a friend of mine, I was doing a fax blast. I would literally do bulk fax blast. I would blast faxes. And for my grizzled veterans in here, you guys know what pain in the ass it was to physically even write an offer on a property. Do you remember that? Like, you have to fax 50 pages. And then California sucked because you have all these disclosures, right? And then when you try to fax it, then like sometimes that little black line gets in the middle, and then the other side can't see it, or you miss an initial or something like that, like some dumb stuff, and then you have to send it back. Well, it's terrible. Now, like that's not an issue, right? It's more, but fundamentally, it's still the same, okay? Like, if you still suck at contracts during that time, and you didn't understand how to counter contracts, you didn't understand certain type of traps that the other side is setting you up for, okay? You would still suck. Technology doesn't really make it better. In my opinion, I think it exposes people a lot more, if you're good or you're bad. All right? So Hope that makes sense. Please let me know if you guys remember the time of that. I know we have some of the young folks in here that you guys don't remember. But yeah, we ran into a lot of that stuff, the fact stuff, man. It sucked. Especially countering stuff. I remember that. It sucked, it's disclosures. All right, so let's talk about the last two stuff that no one talks about in real estate, which is scalable production and distribution. All right, now, who in here, before I go in here, who has a business outside of the space of real estate? Maybe a little side hustle, maybe a completely different business. Maybe your husband or a wife is running one, or maybe you have one like with your kids, grandkids, or something like that, or you're running with your parents, whatever it is. Let me know what kind of business that you're in. Because in my case, yeah, I have different businesses outside of just investing in real estate, doing the traditional stuff, right? You guys are quiet today. What's going on? So. And let me know. Keep on typing it, so I'll go through this. So the question is this: can our product or service be easily scaled for production and supply? And in the business world right now, like I hear this, and it kind of like I'm like, where people talk about scale. Hey, scale your business, scale this, scale that. But there are some limitations. And here's what I mean. A book can be easily scaled as it can be printed as many times as demand requires. Agreed? Compare this to face-to-face teaching, which isn't easily scalable. It's not. So in real estate, it is labor intensive, especially if you are doing the what? The listing and buying site. It just simply is. It's labor intensive. And this is one of the most underutilized, and people do not understand this because you simply cannot scale production or distribution if you stay in the business that you're in. You simply cannot. Your income will cap off. All right? Example is the agent I use, right? His name is Kevin, actually, young guy. All right. My goal is to the goal this year is to have him get the actual designation of 30 under 30, and he's right on track to do that. I'm a firm believer that he's going to get that. All right, but he is hitting an income cap. Right, and on pure hustle and pure doing that, he's doing really, really well. Right? Remember, the average median income for most people in the real estate agent side is like $48,000 nationally, I believe. Right? He's doing on GCI, on gross GCI, gross commissions. He's at currently right now. He's the run rate on it. He's going to end up, like I said, like 21 on the low end, maybe even up to 25. So you can do the easy math on that, how much he's going to make. It's not bad, right? He's doing over $250,000. He's going to end up like 400, 500, maybe even 600,000 a year. Just one person. One person. Yes, he does pay a file, like a TC for a file, okay? But he doesn't even have an assistant. So the conversation that we've been having is this, he's just like, oh my gosh, I want to hire an assistant. What should I do? Like, should I get an assistant? And I was just like, hey. And he was just like, and he has money like put aside, okay? I'm talking about like he has good money put aside. He invests too. Okay, he has rental properties and things like that, all right? He does flips. He does some little bit of wholesaling too. Okay, so different distribution, all right? But I said, you need to start looking at some different stuff, because he was just like, I don't know if I want to pay an assistant $4,000 a month. And I was just like, I think you should try to pay as much as possible and get the best people. And he was just like, well, first he was like, well, I want to just pay $1,000. I said, look. If you're okay with $1,000, how many files did you close last month? Right? And I know this already, right? So he did 6, right? And he's paying an actual TC on 6 files, $500. Right? 6 files, $500. So right there, instantly. Can you do the math? Right? 6 files, $500. $3,000. And then add the $1,000 that he wanted to pay, and guess what? You're right there at $4,000. All right? But in his mind, he was so convinced that he couldn't afford it. So his brain stopped working. Versus just looking at it and be like, oh yeah, hey, fire that office TC that you're using, right, that you're paying $500 to, and then bring them in house and put them as their full time and have them do the file, right? And he said, oh, that's smart. And then I said even more above and beyond. I said, hey, have you even considered of talking about your preferred lenders or in-house lenders and have them pay that cost? And he was just like, oh, I haven't thought about that. All right. So there's so many ways. You just got to think of different ways, right? So again, this all has to do with scalable production and distribution. And this is why I challenge you to think beyond transactional real estate and to use the knowledge to grow multiple streams of income. Because the broker, if in that case, right, in that scenario of that exact case, that scenario, right, what is the broker saying? And if you're a broker, I'm sorry, okay? The broker is telling the agents, hey, keep on doing more. Right? Because he's making money off the TC. He's making money off the in-house escrow company. All right? He's making money off the preferred lender and things like that. Okay? So he's making money off that. But if you're an agent in there, right, and you're doing that, you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Am I just going to keep on working hard? Oh no, I know what to do. I'll expand my team. Right? Team expansion that you can do. Bring someone in. I'll bring a buyer's agent in. Right? Just the traditional stuff. Not saying that that does not work. That model doesn't work. Okay? Yes, it does work. Right? But there's something that you can do beyond that. Now, good thing enough, like in his case, right, he knows how to make income outside of just strictly a traditional side. Right? He's going to be buying a rehab flip, and he partner up with an investor that's putting up all the money, and he's taking a 40% cut of that. He doesn't even have to do anything. Genius, right? And he gets the listings too. So pretty cool, right? Different stream of income. Think beyond what's going on. All right? Here's another one. Issue with real estate. And I'm telling you this so you can, again, expand your mind. Scalable customer base or change customer to client, all right? A restaurant or a corner store doesn't have a scalable customer base. It can only service customers in its local area. Same holds true if you're thinking of your business as localized, right? If your business is localized, meaning, hey, this is my farm area. I'm going to go after this. Right? Nothing wrong with it. You can absolutely do that. Right? But rest assured, your net income will cap off around $500K to $700K net, depending on your skill set. If you're good at managing systems, operations, that kind of stuff, it can be a lot higher than that. All right? But it's going to be around there. Right? You might do a lot more. I'm talking about revenue, okay, not gross. Because your revenue can be like $3 million, but then after costs and splits and stuff like that, you're going to end up like at $500K, $750K. Right? I know this because I've seen people's balance sheets over and over. It has happened to me as well. So you can literally make more, but usually you won't net more. And if there's a market correction, it's really hard to scale down, especially if you have a high overhead. Right? So many friends of mine who didn't own, like their real estate brokerages, right? They're a real estate broker, and they didn't own the building that they run their office in. They didn't own it. They were leasing it. Those people went under. Versus the people who owned the building that they were leasing, they were okay. They kept the doors open. Right? And this is why many of the most successful clients I work with make their money with real estate and invest in other companies outside or invest in outside beyond real estate. So make your money, right? Put money aside. Right? And get cash flow properties if it's real estate, right? Or invest outside. If you like teaching, you like to do, this kind of stuff, I tell people all the time, hey, with all means, get into that business. It's a very lucrative business, right? I don't lie about it, right? Doing the coaching and training stuff, selling digital products online, it's a very lucrative business because the margins are so high. All right? So again, I challenge you to think beyond transactional real estate and to use the knowledge to grow multiple streams of income. Because that will allow you to fill in the gaps as your business is growing. This will allow you to gain time freedom. It will allow you to gain more leverage in your business. All right? So these are literally the three common ones, and then the four least talked about. And this will allow you to get your goals. So that's what I got for you. So what questions do you guys and gals have? Let's open up the mic and let's start talking right on here. Let's see what we got going on. I see some couple of old people who hopped on late. Yeah, especially if I have not spoken with you, I may just unmute you. So let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got going on here. How about Ben? Ben, are you there? Ben?
Yeah, hey, Jeff.
Hey, say hi to everyone, Ben.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
All right. So I think this is the first time we're ever speaking. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, cool. So tell me, Ben, tell me what you got going on, what's happening in your business, and I want to be able to at least give you some instantly some couple stuff that you can go do. So talk to me.
Well, actually, I'm pretty new in real estate. I just got licensed as an agent back in December, beginning of December 2016.
Oh, so you're just you're right behind the ear then. Okay, you're brand new. Okay.
Yeah. So just getting going and got a couple listings.
Okay, cool.
And trying to put some marketing things together. So.
Well, here. Let me give you some value here. So, Ben, what did you do in the past, like before real estate? Like, what's your experience? Were you in sales? Were you in operations? Were you an engineer? Like, tell me a little bit. What were you doing? Like, what business were you in?
Yeah, I was in sales. I was a financial advisor for a while, and I was a sales manager at an apparel company. So, mostly sales, and I've also done like some online marketing stuff too.
Okay, cool. Okay, so
Yeah.
so let me get a better understanding, Ben. So I know you said financial. So did you have like a Series 6, 63, or Series 7, that kind of financial like securities, like financial services? Is that what you did, or was it something else?
Yeah. I had a Series 7, and I had life and health insurance license.
Okay, cool. Were you working on like a CFP, LUTC, that kind of stuff, or how far did you get? Did you sell your book of business or no? Or like what happened there?
Well, actually, that was a while ago.
Okay.
That was like right after I got out of college. Back in 2007
Okay.
or 2006-ish, I started. I worked at Ameriprise Financial for about 2 years until the market kind of crashed and kind of got out of the business then. And then I was a sales manager at an apparel company, and I managed a team of like about 30 people. And we did close to 750,000 in apparel sales per year. So,
Okay.
That's kind of where I'm coming from.
Okay. So that's good. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
So in business, because you've been in business now, what, going on like seven months, right? Going into 8 months and stuff like that. So where are you at in terms of how many closings have you done?
Not very many, actually. I just.
Well, this is a safe place, man. So the more you can be upfront with me, I can help you out, right? So how many have you done?
Yeah, I just had my first closing here at beginning of last month. So.
Okay. Well, congratulations. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Super cool. And how did you get this transaction?
It was actually a friend, family member. So. Okay.
Friend, okay, cool. And now, do you have anything in the pipeline right now? People on the fence, sort of, kind of interested, especially like buyers or something like that. Do you have that currently right now? People that are interested?
No, not really. I got a listing that is kind of interested, and she's just kind of doing some like final touches on her house to get it ready.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what I have. I mean, I have a listing right now that's actually been on the market for about 60 days now, so it's not really selling.
Now, why do you think it's not selling? Is it more of is it just flat out overpriced, or like what's going on?
Yeah, it might be a little overpriced, but it's for the area that I'm in is it's a little higher price for the area, so. I would say like medium homes are selling for around $200 to $250, and this is like a $300,000 type deal. So, and it needs like a lot of updates. On the inside. So I think that's what's kind of.
Is it vacant or no?
Yeah, it's vacant right now. Yep.
Okay. And then why is the seller selling? I'm just curious. They're trying to cash out. Are they older people? They're trying to retire. Are they moving somewhere else? Where'd they go? Like what's
It's
happening?
an estate sale.
Oh, it's an estate sale. Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. How many beneficiaries are in that estate?
I believe 6.
6. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is where kind of like the investor side really kicks in for me, right? Is that if it's not moving, I would push them to obviously lower the price on what price that you can move it at. Because what's the point of, spending all this time if you can't move it? That's number one. And then even if you ask that decline, like saying, hey, that price reduction, even if it's $60,000, right? Let's just say, right? 60,000, which is a lot, right? If there's six people, the haircut that they're really taking is what? If there's like no underlying loan, it's 10 grand.
Yeah, 10.
Yeah. So even if you drop $6,000, the haircut that everyone else is taking is only 1,000. Right? And within the estate, typically you're going to have someone that's running the estate. Is it like the oldest brother, oldest sister? Who is it?
Yeah. It's one of the sons.
Okay. One of the oldest sons? Okay. Yeah. Now, is he getting paid? Is he getting paid from that estate as being an actual person to, quarterback the estate?
I mean, I think he could, but I don't think he's probably going to.
Okay, because usually
he doesn't. He's really
as an administrator, he should be getting.
He doesn't want to spend any money, I guess.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So that's my recommendation for you, especially, right? And if it's kind of like a fixer, that seems like it's a fixer, it's vacant, right? Is to really use that to build maybe like your. Where are you located at, Ben? By the way, what state?
Ohio.
Ohio. Okay, where in Ohio?
Yeah. I'm in Kent, Ohio.
Oh, you're in Kent. Okay, yeah. Okay, so all right, yeah. I used to go to Parma Heights a lot for a mastermind group all the time. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
In Columbus as well. I used to go there. So yeah, so you got a lot of investors in there. So that's my recommendation is to really push hard, get it lower, get that one off the books, get it closing, and then use that property to build relationship with the investors, wholesalers, especially in there. And that's my recommendation. I know some really, really good wholesalers and people in Ohio that are absolutely crushing it. And if you do that, it's going to be a lot easier for you. Because the issue that you run into Ohio is the price points of the homes are compared to Southern California, it's about like 20%, 25%, right? Like you're selling $200,000 homes. People in Southern California, West Coast, we're doing like freaking $800,000 home, $1 million homes.
Yeah.
So if you just do the traditional side on just strictly like getting commission, right? It's just stacked against you, the odds, because you're only going to be able to make $2,000 after all costs, if that. Right, with the split that you have with the broker, versus hey, you learning how to wholesale versus you learning how to invest, and things like that. The door is going to open up a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do some investing too. So.
Yeah, and another one is open. And I tell people open to is just like remember the loan side, the finance side. There's a lot more scale to it. Especially you having finance background, I'm sure you can talk the language of interest rates, what all that means, and it may be a better play for you because you can actually scale that a lot higher because you're not limited, right? Because again, like imagine like if you have 20 listings, all right, and you're at that price point of 200,000, 150, 100,000, okay, is that you're going to have someone go to the inspection. It's either you or someone else on your team.
Right.
Versus if you're on the lending side, that doesn't really happen. Or if you're on the investor side, it doesn't. Well, even if it does, your spreads are much bigger, so you're willing to do it, right? So those are things that I say. Hey, you know what? I'm not telling you to just stop completely on what you're doing, but I'm just saying just look beyond that because I'm sure if you're at a brokerage and you're doing that, your broker's cracking the whip on us and just keep on doing that, smile and dial, baby, do this, do that, and and it can take a toll on people, So, all right. What other questions do you have for me that I can help you out with?
Nothing off the top of my head right now. I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Okay, cool. So, and again, final recommendation for you, Ben, is that especially you're in the finance, right? I know you said, I don't know if you still have the contacts of the people that were there. Get those contacts on a spreadsheet, all right? Yeah. Phone numbers, email, get them on there. Do you already have that or no?
I do. I do have a lot of contacts still from that.
When's the last time you reached out to them?
It's been a while.
All right, you need to do that, right? So yeah, and then obviously go in there, right? You don't have to be like a kind of like a sleazy. Hey, by the way, you want to buy and sell, right? Like just like, hey man, it's me, Ben. Just want to check in. I know it's been. I apologize, right? Like just text them if you don't want to call. Just text them. Be like, hey, it's me, Ben. Sorry, hey, I know we lost track. We lost contact. Just want to reach out and see how things are going with you. That's it. Some will respond back cool. Some will be like Ben, I hate your guts, right? You might get that, right? So, or someone will be like, oh my gosh, Ben, man, it's been so long. We should hang out or something like that, So again, that stuff is just human connection, right? That doesn't change. So that's, you know this, you're in the sales, So, So do it. That's all I can tell you, right, Ben? That's all I can tell you. Do it. You know that you're supposed to be doing that, especially if you have those contacts and you haven't hit them up, right? So. All right. So.
All right. Cool.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you for the contribution. So I'm going to hit a mute there. Anyone else? Let me see here. I think I saw Dustin. Where were you at, Dustin? Because I think, Dustin, you're out and you're kind of like neck of my woods. So where are you at? Dustin, are you there? Dustin? Whoa. Dustin.
Hello.
Say hi to everyone, Dustin.
What's going on?
All right, so you're kind of fuzzy, wuzzy, but it's okay. Do you have any questions? Tell me what's going on, what's happening on your side of town?
We spoke before. I'm doing investing in traditional real estate.
Yep.
I have a pretty big project right now that's been taking up a good amount of my time.
Yeah.
So I haven't focused too much on the traditional, although I just closed one yesterday.
Nice, congratulations.
I'm actually accepting an offer today, so that's good.
That's good.
So, but just kind of looking into it, seeing how I can kind of grow a little bit more on the traditional side without having to be too involved. That's always been my big thing. I don't want to be involved in that side. It's not my big passion. The best thing is.
Yeah.
So, actually, I just started researching. It's called your lead broker. Have you used them in the past?
No, I have not. But I'm sure there's tons and tons of new software or people that are popping up left and right because it's very cheap to create websites now, right? Versus a couple of years ago. So,
because this is it's a data lead company, for out of state or.
Yeah, there's tons of those. My recommendation for any data lead provider that you get, I tell people get the leads from people outside of real estate because they're selling that same lead to everyone else in the competition. Heck, I might be buying them through someone else, right? Or they're brokering the leads and putting a new face to it. That's it. It might be a different company, So, were you on last week or the week before that where I was talking about a lot of kind of like the tax stuff?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Do you have a SEP or some type of qualified retirement account that you set up for your investment company?
Yes, I have a SEP IRA set up.
Okay, cool, super cool. Okay, and you maxed that out, I'm guessing, correct?
Yep.
All right, beautiful. All right, so you're ahead of the game. Okay. Do you do the HSA, health savings, and stuff like that too?
No, and I have that on my whiteboard right now as a big circle thing to check out a little bit more.
So do that. Did you have rental properties as well? I don't remember if you did or not, Dustin.
I have in the past. I was an idiot and sold them.
Okay. Well, I would recommend, on whatever you can, is to, even if it's a dinky small one, right, is to try to hold on to those because the biggest value that you're going to get is the depreciation credits.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, and you can depreciate that over 27 and a half years, right? So, and that's kind of the magic of real estate investing. Like flipping, rehabbing, cool, but it's a hustle business, right? Uncle Sam doesn't like us. They do not like us. We get taxed at the highest rate, and it just absolutely sucks, So, and that's my recommendation. Look at that. Still, where we're at currently right now, you might be able to do a lot of stuff. So that's, do that.
I'm trying to buy a smaller apartment building out of state.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my next step.
Yeah,
kind of focus on an area and just go for it.
Yeah. Well, cool. I think you're on the right track and doing it. But any other questions for me, Dustin, that I can help you out with?
No, I just want to give praise. I mean, for the last couple of weeks of signing up with you and listening to you online, and got a lot of great information. You're out there doing this stuff, and I enjoy listening to you.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much, Dustin. And let me know if there's anything else I can help you out with, right? So I'm going to mute you because I'm hearing that kind of like static feedback, all right? Appreciate it. Thank you for the contribution, Dustin, on that. So anyone else, please type in if you have any questions. Ooh, I didn't scroll down. So thank you so much for that. Let me see who else we got in here. Hold on. What about Jeff? Or Jeff? Oh, he's self-muted. Jeff, you're self-muted, or Jeff. So. All right, so I don't see any other questions. If I missed your questions, I'm sorry. Earlier, if I missed them for whatever reason, I will make sure I reach out to you. But please, throughout the week, if you have any questions, reach out to me or reach out to my team. I'm here for you guys and gals. And if you have any strategy questions, obviously reach out to me. If you have any technical or tactical stuff that you need help on, you can reach out to my sports support staff. And the recording of this will be up within the next 48 hours or so. And other than that, keep on taking massive action. And final thought on this is look at your business, find leverage points, and as I tell people, it's not the amount of money that you really make, but it's the amount of money that you will really keep. Right? It really is. It really, really is. Okay? It's the amount of money that you really keep. And real estate is a beautiful thing, especially if you're on the sales side. You can definitely get into the investment side. If you're on the investor side already or loan origination side, you know the power of real estate, the amount of, big chunks of cash that you can make. Okay? But just be smart, right? And work hard. So that's what I got. This is Jeff Coga. I will talk to you guys throughout the week. Love you guys, and take care, and bye-bye.